Hey kids, we're going to be adding a new page to our reading notebook. In the table of contents, you're going to add main idea down here. It's going to start on page 28. We might have a couple of blank pages in between because I think fourth and third got off a little bit from each other. And so we have a poetry section that starts on page 20, and then we're starting main idea on page 28. So if you want to go ahead and write that in there, you can. You can pause the video so that you can continue if you need to. All right, and then when I flip over to page 28 and 29, we're going to have a couple of pages we're going to put in here, and I'm going to show you how to cut them out. One page is going to look like this, and you're just going to kind of cut out the white space at the bottom and the top, and then I just kind of cut around the ice cream cone. And then the other page looks like this, so it's an ice cream cone with some scoops on it. There we go. And I just kind of cut around to take up a little less space on here. So you're just going to cut those out quickly, so you can pause the video, cut those out, and then come on back. Okay, so now I'm on page 28, and I've actually put mine in here, but I want you to wait until after you write to glue yours in. And what I realized is that this ice cream cone is kind of in the way a little bit. I trimmed the edge of mine off a little bit more, but it's still in the way, so I just stuck it on this side, so it'll just get bent a little bit in the crease, but it won't really affect it. So I've put little sticky notes on here to kind of cover up what I've written so we can talk about it. So also you're going to want to put the title, main idea, at the top of your paper. Now this says, how do I find the main idea of an informational text? Remember, informational texts are going to be nonfiction texts that are written to give you information. So here's some steps that you can do so that you can find the main idea. Now we've been working on finding main idea in a paragraph, but you might be finding main idea in a whole passage. So before you start reading, what you can do in a nonfiction text is you can actually look at the title and the pictures. And it might seem kind of silly, but just looking at the title can a lot of times give you an idea about what the text is going to be about. Now, it's not just going to say the topic usually, it's going to give you a little bit more information than that. And so the title can actually be a good way of figuring out what the main idea might be. So you want to look at the title, and then the pictures can also help. There's going to be a lot of text features in there that help, and that's something that we'll be working on. Now, sometimes there'll be questions where they actually ask you what would be a good title for this passage. And that's always kind of a sneaky way to ask a main idea question. They want to know, did you get the main idea of the passage? Because if you did, then you'll know what a good title would be, because you wouldn't title it something that wasn't saying what the whole thing was about. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do before you read is you want to think, what will the text be about? So you've got to look at the title and pictures and then think, what will the text be about? So you can pause the video and you can write those two things down. All right, and then while you're reading, you also need to be thinking, because when we're reading, we can't just read and not pay attention to what we're reading. We've also got to think about it. So while you're reading, you're going to look for keywords that are repeated. If you're seeing a common topic that's mentioned over and over again in the way they're talking about it, then that'll be a pretty good clue to what the main idea is. And then also you want to look at the first or the last sentence, but if it's a passage, then it would be maybe the paragraph, to kind of find the main idea. The first paragraph in a passage is going to be introducing you to the topic. It's the introduction. It's going to introduce you to the main idea. And the first sentence in a paragraph, like the topic sentence, is going to introduce you to that main idea as well. So you want to look at the first or last sentence or paragraph to help you kind of understand what the main idea of the paper is. So you can pause the video and write that down. All right, and then after you read, you've got some more thinking to do. After you read, you're going to ask yourself, what is the text mostly about, okay? Because all the details should point towards the main idea statement. You're also going to ask yourself, what is the most important idea about the topic? So it might not just be about dogs, that's not specific enough, but it might be how dogs are good pets. So you want the most important idea that they're talking about, and that helps you by thinking about those repeated words. And then that'll help you look for find the main idea. And then the last thing is you want to ask yourself, what details support the main idea? Like, what details give me more information about the main idea? Adjust my camera a little bit. Okay, and you can pause the video so that you can write those 3 sentences down. All right, so we're going to look at the next page now. So you can get out your ice cream cones. And I covered my responses up, but we're just going to look at this page and talk about it before we write anything. So the ice cream cone is kind of like the main idea. It's what the story or passage is mostly about. We've talked about it different ways. We said it's kind of the umbrella or it's the tabletop. Well, in this illustration, it's the ice cream cone. It's what's holding everything. And each scoop of ice cream is a detail that supports the main idea or gives more information about it. So what I want us to do, because we've talked about this, but I don't have this anywhere for you guys to remember, I want you to remember that details can be different things. Details can be examples. So we're going to put that in here. It could be an example. A detail could be a reason why somebody believes something. Why are dogs the best pet? Or a detail could be a fact about it. Okay, so those are some types of details that you could put in your writing or that you could see when you're reading. So what we're going to do now so that we can fill out this organizer is we're actually going to look at this little paragraph. And we're going to read it and we're going to try and figure out what the main idea and the detail sentences are. So I'm going to read it to you. Newborn babies are adorable, but they are a lot of work. Most newborn babies need to eat every 2 or 3 hours around the clock, and they need to have their diapers changed just as often. Sometimes they get confused and sleep during the day and stay awake all night. Every once in a while, a baby will want to be held all the time. Moms and dads of newborns are often very tired because their bundles of joy have many needs. Okay, so think about some of those key words that were repeated a lot. What do you think some of them were? Yeah, it talked about babies a lot. So I would say that the topic is definitely babies. And it even talked more specifically newborn babies. But then go a little deeper and see if you think you understand what the main idea is. I want you to pause the video because I'm pretty sure you can do this. Pause the video and write down the sentence that you, or the part of the sentence. You probably wouldn't be able to fit the whole sentence on there. But in the little ice cream cone part down here, you're going to write down the part of the sentence that you think tells what the main idea is. We know newborn babies is the topic, but we want to know what idea they're telling us about the topic. So you're going to pause the video. I've got mine covered up, but you're going to pause the video and you're going to write down in the ice cream cone what you think the main idea is. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence from the text because you probably wouldn't be able to fit that on there. Okay, pause now. Okay, what did you come up with? Well, I was thinking that everything seems to give reasons why there's so much work. So I put, let's see if we can get it to show up. I put newborn babies are a lot of work. I didn't put they're adorable because I couldn't fit that on there. And that really isn't the whole point of it, is about them being adorable, but it's about them being a lot of work. So that was the main idea that I figured out. All right, now what I'd like you to do on the first scoop is you're going to add a detail. Now it has to be a detail that supports our main idea of them being a lot of work. So you're going to add a detail to your first scoop that gives some more information. So it's going to give an example, a reason, or a fact about them being a lot of work. So that's what you're looking for. So pause now and write that on your first ice cream cone. Okay, now I'm going to pull mine up. You might not have written down the first one that I did. You can check them all once we get them all uncovered, but we probably have the same ones, maybe just not in the same order. Okay, so I'm going to pull this first one up. So I put they need food every few hours. That is definitely going to be a lot of hard work because you've got this little baby that's constantly needing to be fed. They can't feed themselves. So that's an example of a way that they can be hard work because you're constantly having to feed them. Okay, so now you're going to be looking at this second ice cream cone for another detail. So pause the video and you're going to go ahead and add in another detail there. Okay, so for your next detail, it should give an example or a reason of why babies are such hard work or a lot of work. So what did you come up with? I came up with the idea that, well, they need their diapers changed. They need them changed all the time. I forgot to punctuate. So they need their diapers changed. That's something that's tough because parents have to constantly do that. So if you didn't put those in the same order, that's okay, as long as at the end you have them all on there. All right, so now you're looking for a third detail that can support the main idea that newborn babies are a lot of work. So one more reason or example. Pause now to write it in your top ice cream scoop. Okay, I came up with they want to be held a lot. So the idea that they're constantly needing to be held, they need their diapers changed, and they need food every few hours are some of the reasons why, or some of the reasons why they're such hard work. And those are all details that support or give more information about newborn babies being a lot of work. So, and you'll notice in this one, we've got a good concluding sentence. It says, moms and dads of newborns are often very tired because their bundles of joy have many needs. So they kind of just restated, oh, we know it's a lot of work because moms and dads are always so tired because they're working so much to fill those needs. Okay, so those were the three details. If you need to make some adjustments to yours, you can pause the video and do that now. Good job.